Today, Barry, is the Whig world. That's what today's episode is all about. We are absolutely fascinated by the Whigs and the history of their rise to prominence in the 17th and 18th centuries, the great families, and that's why we've come to the Peak District to talk about the Devonshires, but we want to understand, where does this story begin for the Whigs?
Well, it starts here, and it's called the Revolution House in Old Whittington in Derbyshire near Chesterfield. And it's called the Revolution House because this is where the first plot was hatched to bring over William of Orange. And there were three plotters. If I can remember rightly, it was the Earl of Devonshire, the Earl of Holderness, and John Darcy.
Duke of Leeds?
Duke of Leeds.
Yeah. So these three, they're plotting to bring over William of Orange from Holland, who is a Protestant king.
Yeah.
So why are they doing that? Why do they want to bring him over?
Well, they want to ensure the succession of the monarchy as a Protestant monarchy. There are too many Catholics around at that royal level, and so they wanted to escape the control from Rome, in a nutshell.
If we want to see the true architectural manifestation of the glorious revolution, it's here.
Absolutely.
Chatsworth, South Front.
Yeah.
It fascinates me that you have these buildings, these palatial country houses that are buildings within buildings, because what we're looking at here is a refrontage of an earlier building, and started before the Glorious Revolution.
1 year before.
1687.
Yes.
And the third Earl of Devonshire is rewarded for his efforts in bringing William of Orange to the throne, and is made the first Duke of Devonshire.
Yep.
And off he goes.
Yep.
So what are we looking at here? This just majestic Baroque.
It's a Baroque palace. I mean, it is a palace front, isn't it? And interestingly, the first use of sash windows, or one of the first uses of sash windows outside London, the first use recorded was in 1669 in Whitehall Palace. But they started to be used rather more generally at this time. And in fact, architectural historians link their use to the influence of William of Orange.
Which is amazing. So some sort of influence from Holland.
From Holland. Sash windows are believed to have developed in Holland.
And that's when you think about the Flemish influence on British architecture. The Flemish bond of brickwork is a direct representative of William of Orange.
And in fact, this whole front is very European. I mean, it is reminiscence of Baroque architecture in France and even Italy. It's such a stylish composition with these giant pilasters and such a lot of movement with the advanced wings, not very advanced, but enough to give you shadows even in this direct sunlight, and these terrific urn finials with their gilded tops. I mean, they're just magnificent.
It couldn't really look better, could it, than on a day like today?
No.
But this is a refronting of an Elizabethan building.
Elizabethan building, yeah.
And this is the beginning.
Built by Bess of Hardwick.
Of course, yeah, yeah, earlier than.
Or her descendant.
And this is the beginning of a process of change of a Elizabethan core of a building refronted in this very ostentatious Baroque style.
Cutting edge design.
curiously insignificant.
Yes. Well, it is including today the private front door. And as a privileged guest, I was sometimes able to go in and out of that, and just within there are all the Wellington boots and the walking sticks and the umbrellas and the dog leads and so on. And it continues to be the private front door.
It's quite beautiful that the family are still in the house.
There we are, living in the palace.
Yeah, and the Devonshires are the highest of the highest Whigs, because this is the age of the 5th Duke of Devonshire, of course, Georgiana, the famous Duchess, the raconteur, socialite in the London elite.
And she played a big part in the story of the Whig ascendancy, didn't she, behind the scenes?
We need to do a whole other episode on Georgiana. Something I find absolutely fascinating as well is that they didn't like to come here. The 5th Duke and Georgiana, they wanted to be in London. They saw this as something of a chore. Yeah, they saw it as a bit of a chore to come here and visit the estate staff, and they wanted to be at the action. Yeah. But nevertheless, who would not want to come and visit a place like this on a day like
Well, in fact, the 11th Duke, once seeing me out from that door, stood looking out across the landscape and said, "People ask me why I don't travel. Would I want to travel when I've got this outlook from my front door?"
There isn't really anywhere more special than this, I don't think, in the country.
No.
Yeah, this subterranean base, Pevsner picks up on this, and is it an unusual detail to see that? I mean, you'd think behind there would be a courtyard or a garden, but it's actually the basement level.
Well, of course, there is a courtyard behind there, because in fact the progression goes all the way around when eventually all the Elizabethan house is encased. So there's not very much left.
No, but that's interesting, isn't it? You start in these country houses with this courtyard plan, and slowly but surely it gets filled in and built up and turns into one solid mass.
Yes.
Now we're inside the lavish assembly rooms of the Crescent, and just moving on a bit from the age of the Whig ascendancy and the Whig oligarchy, we get towards the French Revolution, late 1780s, 1790s, and this is the period, the beginning of the end of that Whig dominance, when, of course, they had been celebrating the virtues of the French Revolution, what they saw as monarchical tyranny of the French crown, and they supported it. But unfortunately, it didn't work with the rest of Parliament. Charles James Fox, the famous, the leader of the Whigs, he said, "Who's with me? Who wants to recognise the French Republic?" And he didn't carry enough with him, and many of the Whigs turned to the Tories, and it was
when the revolution turned into the terror.
Yeah, when it turned nasty. They realised actually this isn't for us, and Charles James Fox was left isolated. He still kept the Devonshires and the Coke of Norfolk, but he didn't have enough with him. So it's a period of isolation for the Whigs. And they can't go to France
because of the revolution.
Because of the revolution, and they love France. They see France as the cultural refinement and high society, Paris. Yeah. So instead, they've got to stay.
They bring it here,
and they bring it here to this incredible building. But it doesn't quite work socially. It
remains provincial. It's never a success like Bath.
Yeah.
So it's a big investment that doesn't quite pay off.
It's phenomenal investment. You think about the stables and this building, but it doesn't. Yeah, like you say, it doesn't quite have that cachet and
Paid for out of the profits from the Ecton copper mine.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a history with this building, haven't you? I think it's been in a bit of a bad condition.
It was owned by the county council in the 20th century, and they moved their library, the public library, Buxton Public Library, into this space.
It's funny to think, isn't it, that this would have been the place for the gaming and the gambling the Whigs kind of living a provincial social life, and then it becomes a library.
Democratisation of the space, if you like. However, it was fairly catastrophic because the weight of the books
didn't go well on this
sprung floor. This floor is actually sprung for dancing purposes, and these big columns are actually, believe it or not, hung from that beam.
I can't even get my head around that. Why? What's going on there?
Well, it was because of the sprung floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Incredible. The Whigs then, of course, continued to live the high society life in London, but Buxton, this lavish investment, doesn't
produce the returns they'd hoped for.
And it's a long way out of anywhere, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, how do you get here? From Chatsworth, it took us half an hour in a car. Funny place.
Yeah.
Special place. So it's time to bring the Whig World to an end, Barry. And it all, for me, the climax and really the beginning of the end of the Whigs as a political force was the 1832 Reform Act. They carried the Reform Bill. They widened the franchise, only very marginally, by bringing in the £10 freeholder right to vote.
Which was quite a lot of money in those days.
Oh yes, they didn't want to widen that franchise. They certainly weren't widening the franchise to universal suffrage.
No.
And they placed absolutely an entire emphasis on the value and sanctity of property.
Sanctity of property.
If you held property, you were considered trustworthy enough to vote. And something very interesting about the rights of property and property ownership, taking it forward to the 1980s, is Margaret Thatcher the truest Whig of all? You sent this message to me one night and said, I think Margaret Thatcher, she was the highest Whig of all.
The right to buy was revolutionary.
Right here. Council built housing estates. Council tenants, and Margaret Thatcher absolutely forcing through this right that people could buy the properties they lived in.
And you could argue about the rights and wrongs of that, but one of the beneficial things from that is the fact that people then were able to customise their own homes. And so you don't have that deadening uniformity, all the gardens being the same or neglected. And you can see individual pride in ownership.
So some pebble dash, some rendered, some with a new stone facing on it.
New plastic windows.
Absolutely.
Sticker stone.
But this notion of the Whigs as the liberal elite, we've talked about them as high society, high fashion, but really they've received a lot of criticism for being snobbish and elitist. But in the same way, surely we as liberals, let's face it, that's what we are, we believe in the rights of property because we own our own properties.
We all want to own our own properties.
We all want to own our own properties.
And we all want to customise them according to our preferences.
Yeah, and we talk about the housing crisis, but every time you push your pecuniary demands further for your own property, whether it's remortgaging, buying, selling, you are driving the housing crisis. So are we not all Whigs in that sense?
Up to a point, Lord Copper.